Hello, and welcome to Azril Ontology. Today, we'll be covering the Windwalker Monk. I'm here with a special guest. He's a well-established Windwalker, and his name is Rait from the guild Pananza.
Hello, and thank you for having me on the show.
Thanks for being here. We're going to go over the artifact quickly. As you can see, the artifact Alberg, it just gives you a proc attack speed and movement speed when you Tiger Palm. What do you think about the artifact, Rait?
It's pretty okay, but nothing amazing. Its attack speed was never a good stat for Windwalker, because it only amplifies your white attacks, and those were never a big part of your damage. So yeah, there's no much to say about that.
Then we have the first ability you get for free, Strike of the Windlord. Another cooldown, another chi spender, and it just does damage at a frontal radius in 8 yards. What do we think about that?
It's pretty good. It works with your mastery, it works with hit combo, it's single target tool but can be used in AoE as well, and depending how hard it will be tuned, it can be really good for burst AoE. I don't really like the chi cost on it, because it interferes with your rotation that's already a bit chi starved with current gear, but it's pretty good.
We'll just quickly go over the talents and then we'll get into the monk. So, we've decided to take Chi Wave over Eye of the Tiger and Chi Burst. Why have we decided to do that, Ray?
Because it's the best single target talent in this tier. Chi Burst is AoE cliff option, so not much use on single target apart from some very specific like burst encounters, but I can't really think about one at the moment. And Eye of the Tiger is like passive ability, so it doesn't really fit the current monk clan's fantasy with like your hit combo or your mastery. It can be a good option for like new monks, so they have less buttons to press and they can like get the basics first. Yeah, that's it.
So, what Rait meant by mastery, as you can see, the mastery is your abilities deal more damage if they're not a repeat action. So, if you don't do double Tiger Palm, you will gain this damage buff to your abilities. So you want to do like Tiger Palm into something, something into something, or Tiger Palm something. You know, you can't press double Tiger Palm because then you'll lose the damage and then you'll lose the other bonuses, which the spec is designed around this sequencing. The 30 roll doesn't apply to this test. We've decided to go on with Energizing Elixir, a 1 minute cooldown that gives you all your chi and all your energy. Can you explain to us, Rait, why we didn't take Ascension and Power Strikes?
So to start with Power Strikes, it's like only 4 chi per minute, because it's 1 extra chi every 15 seconds, and that's assuming you like use Tiger Palm exactly each 15 seconds, which will never happen in like encounter, so it's only 4 chi. And Energizing Elixir, like use only 4 chi is 5 chi each minute, so it's like strictly better in every case. And Ascension is really hard to like count at the moment because it amplifies your energy regen, which depends on your haste, and it gives you more chi to pull, so it may be better on some fights, it may scale better with gear, but at the moment Energizing Elixir seems like the best option for single target and AoE.
The 60 roll doesn't apply, nor does the 75. For the 90 roll, we've decided to take Hit Combo. Can you explain to us, Rait, why we didn't take Rushing Jade and Invoker Surrender?
Rushing Jade Twin is like AoE talent. You will spec that on most AoE fights, unless they're really bursty. And it can be used on single target as well, with the current changes, so that it's no longer energy cost, it's 1 chi cost. But I doubt it will beat out 10% passive damage from hit combo, and Suen just cannot compete with hit combo in this tier, because hit combo is a passive 10% damage gain, and Suen will never compete with that, and the very moment it does, it makes hit combo completely useless, so I don't really like its place in the tree. I'd rather have it as a baseline cooldown, which Monk never had before. It's a pretty iconic ability, so that would be pretty cool.
100 roll, we decided to go with Spinning Dragon Strike. Can you explain why we didn't go for Chi Orbit or Serenity?
Chi Orbit is a pretty boring and generic ability, it's just a passive damage, so I doubt that it will compete with other talents. And Serenity has some problems. It shares stacks with Tiger Eye, but it only has one stack compared to two stacks of Tiger Eye. Its damage modifier is too small, it's only 40%, but you lose the stack. And while the reduced cooldowns on your abilities are really nice, because you can use Double Fist of Fury into Serenity, it still will never compete with Spinning Dragon Strike and two stacks of Tiger Eye. They're just too good baseline.
Alright, so we're pretty much going to show you a demonstration of how it plays out, and then we're just going to talk about the issues with Monk and what we feel like needs to change and what can be improved. So the Monk has a lot of buttons to press. As you can see, this class is not shy to button blow whatsoever. You have 3 baseline abilities, plus you have Rising Sun Kick, Strike of the Windlord from your artifact with talented Chi Wave, and you have Spinning Dragon Strike. That is a total of 7 buttons to press in sequences, which for a new player can be quite overwhelming, and considering Blizzard's behavior with other specs and classes, it doesn't really look like 7 abilities are going to be what you really go with come the final version. So what you want to do is open up with Energizing Elixir, get your 5 Chi, then you're going to go in with Chi Wave, Touch of Death, Tiger Eye into Rising Sun into Fist of Fury. Now when that's the case, you do your Spinning Dragon Strike into Tiger Palm, into Rising Sun Kick, into Tiger Palm again, into Chi Wave, into the artifact, Tiger Palm to clip that last Rising Sun Kick, and it's pretty much keep your buttons in sequence. As you can see, I've never pressed one action more than once. I've always done something else after each other, and I've kept my 10 stacks of hit combo, and all of my abilities are benefiting from my mastery. As you can see, combo strikes. And this is pretty much how Windwalkers work in the current alpha build. Now, me and Ray are going to talk about what issues we have with the spec. Personally, I feel like energy does not fit this class fantasy anymore. What do you think about that, Ray?
You only have one spender now, with like Rushing Jadewing and Spinning Canting going to Chi spenders. You only have Tiger Palm, which is now 50 energy, and that's your only energy spender. So it could be very well changed to like 3 seconds cooldown, and it would work exactly the same. Energy is only a thing at the moment to make haste useful for the spec, because otherwise it would be a completely dead stat.
Problem I had with again haste is I feel like the value of haste, if they were to remove energy, would be too low, because you don't want the white damage. White damage is non-existent. I remember when they first made Windwalkers, they didn't even have auto attacks. I feel like auto attacks are just something they added in extra, and you've got like the passive today on live with a 2-hander and 1-hander, how they do different things with white damage. But white damage has never really been a part of that Monk fantasy. So what would haste other than global cooldown really do? So another issue I also had was, like Rait mentioned, Strike of the Windlord is 3 Chi cost. And I kind of feel like you have so many Chi spenders. It's too much planning going into Chi. Like, I don't mind planning for generic abilities, something you have baseline like Rising Sun or Fist of Fury or Blackout, but it's like you wasted 3 Chi, and as you saw in the playstyle, you hardly Blackout Kick. Like, Blackout Kick is non-existent. What do you think about this, Rait?
I don't really like it. You have too many buttons that do basically the same. You need to press on cooldown. It could very well be automated with like add-on, like CLC, and there is not much like, yeah, there can be a planning to it in like AoE or like chaotic encounters, but on like single target you can just find optimal rotation and follow that. There is not like much planning.
That's another issue I have, because there's so many buttons. If you're a new player to the game and you want to play a monk, you got so many specs and classes that are available. But let's say you decide to pick monk. It's very new player unfriendly if it was to remain the same. You couldn't just get into the class, look at your abilities, piece it together and play. With the monk, there's an extra few layers of difficulty. Now, some people might enjoy that. I personally don't mind it, but overall, the difficulty of the class and the comfort wouldn't exist in a real raiding environment. Fights where you would have to stop dealing damage, or there might be some kind of on-demand damage at a certain point, and it would completely break your sequencing. Like, I kind of feel like these abilities, how they're designed to be used, doesn't really work in real raiding environments, which kind of makes the Windwalker lacking. And I kind of feel like Windwalkers right now don't really provide much to raiding environments right now, other than DPS. What do you have to say about that, Rait?
Yes, that was the same problem Monk had in last expansion. It wasn't very noob friendly, but it came from different things. Just like Tiger Eye management and your clone management. Now the difficulty of the spec is moved into hit combo and mastery, but it's not really a fun difficulty that you can become better at the spec, because it can be automated by add-ons, and it's just a trap for new players, the mastery, so I don't really like it. And yeah, about utility, apart from AoE stun, which is not really something very unique at the moment, because most of the specs have form of stun, and Windwalking aura, which is just movement speed in short radius. Monk brings nothing apart from damage. So unless they do a lot of damage, I doubt they will see much spots in raiding environment.
I kind of feel like you could just remove energy for the class, make haste work completely different for this one spec, or keep energy and put more use in it. Like, allow one of these spenders to consume energy rather than only chi. Like right now, I feel like you're only building chi. It's just chi, and energy is allowing you to build chi, which is kind of a problem because you have a lot of ability. You have two abilities right now that require free chi. Like, you got the Fist of Fury and you've got the Strike of the Windlord. Like, I don't mind there being one big chi consumer, but now you have two big chi consumers, and essentially they're gonna align with each other because one's on a 40-second cooldown and one's on a 20-second cooldown. And when you get to that second Fist of Fury, you're gonna then have to build 6 chi just so you can do your Strike of the Windlord. And not only that, there's gonna be another chi cost on top, so you can do your Rising Sun Kick, so you can then do your Spinning Dragon Strike, which is again on 20 seconds. There are a lot of short cooldowns with this class, and all of these abilities need to be pressed in sequence. And as you can see, you got Spinning Dragon Strike that requires both Fist of Fury and Rising Sun Kick cooldown. I kind of feel like you kind of just only need the one to be on cooldown. Having both, it's such a high demand. Like, you're playing demand for chi and demand for cooldowns as well. I kind of feel like it's too many short cooldowns, and they need to be either longer cooldowns, or there needs to be more interaction between pressing the same abilities constantly, like more blackout kicks in the rotation, more tiger palms, etc, etc. Don't you agree, Rait?
Yeah, it feels a bit like whack-a-mole spec at the moment. You just press every cooldown that's available, and like you cut blackout kick from your rotation, and it will only become worse with higher haste.
Another problem I had was Touch of Death. Now, Touch of Death's on a 2-minute cooldown, and it's something you can never not press with Tiger Eye or Serenity if you decide to ever spec Serenity. It's kind of like the Ring and Soul Capacitor on a 2-minute cooldown. And there are traits and enhancements, but we can't really get into that right now because those could change any moment. But the direction of the spec right now, it kind of feels like it works on pen and paper, but in a real practical environment, you're going to have a hard time adjusting to high on-demand interaction fights. Like fights where you need to pay attention or need to do something, switch targets, does the hit combo and the mastery. It doesn't matter if you switch targets. If you Tiger Palm a second target after you Tiger Palm the first target, you're gonna lose the damage. So it kind of prevents you from doing things. And again, like this is all whack-a-mole spec, and when it gets into cleaving and switching targets and whatnot, it's a very hard spec to just go straight in and do something. Like there's no advanced rotational priority. It's just you need to play the spec 100% or you're consistently going to be doing your mastery percentage less and the hit combo. You got anything else to say about this, Rait?
Not really. We talked about most of the points.
Kind of feel like Windwalkers are like on the fence right now. I could see personally them taking away energy because it doesn't really work, but at the same time I kind of feel like they'll keep it just because it's kind of too late into the alpha and they're just going to try and make this constant sequencing work. And to be fair, if they wanted an action like base spec, something where you just constantly press buttons, they could have just always made abilities require a follow-up of each other. Like make Blackout go into Rising Sun, that you can't press Rising Sun until you press the Blackout. Like make the sequencing exist and not something you have to constantly jump between different buttons here and there. Like you could pretty much play with CLC and play this spec. Well, this was Azril Ontology for Windwalkers. If you like this format of me and Rait talking about the spec, problems with the spec and class in general, then please do say in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks, Rait, for being on the show.
Thanks.
And Azril and Rait out.